I have some of your numbers written down, so call back in. Let me take this 301 call. Hey, 301, you're live. What's your name? What's your comment?
Okay, good evening. 301, this is Gina Best.
Gina.
I am the mother of India Kager. Yes, my dear. You helped me out, Brother Tim, back in December of 2000. Yes, India Kager's mother. And I've been watching off and on for several years since you honored my daughter, even on your Facebook page. I wanted to say thank you for support, everything that you did back then, Brother Tim, and with what you've done since then. But I couldn't help but call in tonight. I'm pissed. I'm coming from as being the mother and a directly impacted civilian, citizen, whatever you want to call it. Mm-hmm. I got a lot to say, and I'm fucking angry. I'm fucking angry because let me make it perfectly clear that what we saw today and what we have seen since my daughter, India Kager, just so the listeners will know, she was living here in Maryland, just so the callers can, I'm going to fill them in on that, and then I have something I need to ask and discuss with you. And I'm also mindful of other people who are on hold. But I'm sitting here, and I can barely contain myself. My daughter, India Kager, 27 years old, lived here in Maryland. She traveled to Virginia Beach with the father of her then 4-month-old baby, Roman Kager. The Virginia Beach Police SWAT team, the entire SWAT team, had been assembled on Labor Day weekend, September 5th. They followed my daughter as she drove her car with Angela Perry in the passenger seat from house to house. Now, you'll recall that, okay, let me just take a breath because I'm pissed. I'm really beyond angry. You'll recall that the Virginia Beach Police, the narrative that they put out was fraught with lies, which is the typical MO. We've seen this shit. We know what they do. When they saw my daughter getting out of her car, they watched her carrying the car seat of baby Roman from house to house as they were visiting for the family reunion. All right, that's not the narrative or the story that the Virginia Beach put out. I need you to know that there was a wrongful death trial, and I heard a caller mention Tavira Rice. Since then, I've become personal friends with mothers across the nation. I can name them off, but right now I just want to just catch this up, so just bear with me for a moment. Those motherfuckers watched my daughter get in and out of her car with the baby. Now, I'm going to tell you what the police do. They always sully the lives of those of our loved ones who've been murdered by police and vilify every last one of them. The entire SWAT team, consisting of 16 plus Neanderthals, waited until my daughter was parking her vehicle in front of the 7-Eleven. They then ambushed her car, ran into the back of her vehicle with unmarked SWAT van and a blue SUV truck while simultaneously detonating flashbang grenades at India's car. Now, mind you, they had already ran the tag. This is a highly trained SWAT unit. It was not an exigent circumstance where a 911 call was made. It was nothing of the sort. This was planned and deliberate with the highest level of specificity. After they detonated the flashbang grenades at my baby's car, 4 SWAT officers in full battalion gear jumped out of the back of the van. By the way, they called it the Silver Bullet. And then they ran up to my daughter's car and fired 51 rifle rounds into Indy's car. Now, let me take a breath for a moment. And the reason why I've been watching you over the years, Brother Tim, and I just absolutely adore you. But I don't always have the bandwidth to get on the phone and talk. I don't always have the bandwidth because as a directly impacted mother and family member watching all of this bullshit go on, the absolute egregious lies that are told repeatedly, the politicians who don't know what the fuck they're talking about. And they're not directly impacted, but they get up there and try to speak as if they were playing games with all of us. I'm telling you that what we saw today was an absolute atrocity, a slap in the face for every last one of those of us who have been fighting for our slain loved ones. It is statistically proven that there have been only 9 officers charged with murder since 2005. 2005, goddammit. And none of the murderers who murdered my daughter and permanently disabled my grandson, Roman, he is deaf in his left ear, none of them were held responsible. None of them. And we see this shit time and time again. And I'm telling you right now, and I'll say it, that the struggle that we have having to live with this day in, day out, they murder our loved ones, but they also kill our spirits in the process, because we have to sit back and try to figure out a way to survive. I have gone through being homeless, lost my home, and by profession, I was a banker, completely self-sufficient. But when they do this to us, when they murder our loved ones, and we have to fight for, they kill their reputation. My daughter was a Navy vet, and I hate to even quantify with that, because the truth of the matter is her life was significant, and I don't need to speak about quantifiers to make her life significant. All 16 of those murderers, 16 plus, got to go home. They returned to their families. I had to write my daughter's obituary and pick out her casket and find a way to still survive. It's been 5.5 plus years, approaching 6 years, and September 5th coming up here. And I'm going to tell you, Brother Tim, that as I listen to people call, this shit is not funny. It destroys us, because intergenerational trauma is not even the tip of the iceberg. It's not even the tip of the iceberg. They murder our loved ones. They forget, and they have the benefit, and I'm going to use that, of convenient amnesia. We got Black people out here who can't even begin to relate, because the truth of the matter is the prevailing emotion that they live with is they're just glad it's not them. There is no excuse.
Yes.
No excuse. While these murderers should not be fearful, retaliation should be the order of the day. I swear, I vow that I will avenge. I'll be one of the first to avenge the murder of my daughter. The only thing that's keeping me here right now is that I got 8 grandchildren. I have 8 grandchildren, and there has been very little family support. People don't know what we go through. So let's get back to Tamir Rice. Tamir Rice's birthday, his solar return, yes, was today. I absolutely adore Samaria. She's a real one, because she's bringing down all of these trauma pimps out here, like Sean King, fuck him. I mean, I can go on and on. And those of you all who have an issue with my language, my profanity, you better remember that what was done to our loved ones is beyond profane. We have to live with this. And the system, they wrote into law at the stroke of a pen, Biden, and I do not romanticize Biden or Kamala. They can kiss listen, within a stroke of a pen, they wrote into law an Asian hate crime. An Asian hate crime. I haven't seen the Asians out here picketing and fighting and protesting. We've been doing this shit for over 400 years. And as of literally last year, with George Floyd's murder, the whole world saw this on video. Hell, my daughter's murder is on video. All you got to do is go to YouTube, and you can see what they did. Let me pause for a minute. I know you have something you want to say, because Brother Tim, thank you for taking my call again. It's taken me a while. There have been many times I just wanted to call in, but it's so hard. It's so hard. And people don't know we literally lose our mind. I have made up my mind to keep my mind, but now I fight. I'm not suicidal. I'm homicidal. I want their mothers to hurt just like we do. And when you heard that Neanderthal's mother get up there today and say that her son is a good person, What kind of shit is that? My daughter was a good person and she was innocent. My grandson, 4 months old. And they orphaned him and they got to go home. Virginia Beach police just murdered another black man by the name of Donovan Lynch, March 26th of this year, and they're still covering up. What are we supposed to do? What do we do when we're in a society that literally, it's not a training issue, it's who they hire to be police officers. And as you may recall, Brother Tim, my family, India comes from a family of law enforcement officers. Her father and her grandfather were both retired D.C. police. I myself am a former Tacoma Park police dispatcher. My son is in law enforcement. My other brother-in-law is a Capitol Street police. My other cousin is a Prince George's County police. And my other cousin is a Maryland State Trooper. So what the fuck? I'm beyond broken. I've had to fight to get a place to live. Living with food insecurity, where I was self-sufficient and I could not even work. It's the mental toil. It's the pain. It's the trauma. And I'm grateful for sisters like Samaria Rice and for Leslie McSpadden, who's Mike Brown's mother. She's a good friend of mine as well. And there's so many mothers that I could name. Wanda Johnson, who is the father of Oscar Grant. I mean, I've gotten to know these mothers. But I'm going to tell you that people very rarely hear from us because it's very hard to even find the intestinal, well, we got the intestinal fortitude, but to articulate the depth of grief that we go through when you're hypervigilant and you're familiar with uncertainty and you still have to watch these politicians get up there and play games with us. Where is our hatred law? Where is the qualified immunity? Where is it? Fuck Biden. Fuck Kamala. I want my daughter back. And that's justice if none of our loved ones were killed by police to begin with. So if we start firing back on them, what then? What then, Brother Tim? You tell me.
Gina Best, sister, I want to thank you so much for calling up. I don't know exactly what words to say. Is there something that people can do? Is it something that that the Wolfpack community can do to assist you? Is it a message we need to get out? Is it we need to contact some folks for you? What can we do to help you?
Well, thank you for that. I'm going to just let you know again. I need to thank you personally. I know that you're in Maryland. I live in Maryland too. I live in Columbia. And the police watch my Facebook page they literally, I know it's them because much shit that I put up there, you would have think I would have landed in Facebook jail. No, they know where I live. I am not fearful of my life because when you live with this, your relationship with death is altered forever, number one. And then you also, I have collapsed emotionally a couple of times. I just need everyone to know that because this stuff, a husband who loses his wife is called a widower. A wife who loses her husband is called a widow. A child who loses his parents, like my grandson Roman, is an orphan. But what the fuck do you call a parent whose child has been killed? There's no word in the English lexicon to even describe this. So to answer your question, Brother Tim, I want the Wolfpack to continue listening to you because you're spitting truth and you're spitting gems. I listen to you on the regular. You just don't know it. And there have been many nights I can't sleep. I mean, I'm up now. This is a common thing for me. Circadian cycle is completely thrown off. But I am just trying to get my life back together. I mean, when I say together, I'm literally, it takes everything. I went through entire retirement savings, you name it. But it means nothing because you cannot monetize the lives of our loved ones. They're playing games with us, Brother Tim. And I am fed up with it. Because what people don't realize is that when you look at your loved one, never can you plan for how you're going to react when your loved one has been murdered by police. If you're a parent or a father or a mother, cousin, even if you don't have biological children, you're playing a role in someone's life. You can never in a million years. India was so soft-spoken, and as you know, and you kept her page, her information pinned on your Facebook page for months. And it gave me I felt so supported by you, and I still do. You need to know that you literally helped me in ways that I can't even begin to thank you, because I felt like no one was listening. No one. So now, since then, I've been working with Say Her Name with Dr. Kimberly Crenshaw, who incidentally did coin the phrase Say Her Name. She started that hashtag because no one was paying attention when Michelle Crusoe was killed within the same week as brother Michael Brown. But Black women aren't amplified. We're not. And it's so painful because not only are we living with the murder of our loved one, we're then living with the subsequent erasure. And, you know, people can name the brothers who were murdered. Very few know about India. And you helped to amplify her name, Brother Tim, and I want to thank you. I thank you. So to answer your question, I want the Wolfpack to keep listening. Because independent journalists, everybody out there is bought. And we know it. And they really are rehearsed. They regurgitate what they're told to regurgitate. And you're completely different. It's been 5+ years, Brother Tim. You did that. Here we are 5 years later, and I'm just getting the wind beneath my sails to try to piece together my life for my grandchildren, for India. Everything I do is in the name of India, but I also hold very sacred space Tatiana Jefferson, Michelle Crusoe, Corinne Gaines, Kayla Moore, Charlene Lyles. I mean, there's so many. Sandra Bland. There's so many. So yes, we need help, because I had an opportunity to meet Al Sharpton and cuss his ass out too, because they're trauma pimps and they're vultures. They swoop down on the people who are so-called well-known, but then they only do it to enrich themselves. As long as they have an audience and a photo op, they're okay. But that shit is never going to be right. So now I'm determined it will be the mothers, it will be the family members, it will be those of us whose children have been murdered by police who are going to lead the true movement. Because we have had, listen, let me pause for a moment, brother, so you can speak, because I'm really going off.
You're
and
good.
I don't want to monopolize your whole show. I just want to thank you.
You're good.
People don't know what we go through. India was soft-spoken, gentle. She played 5 instruments, self-taught. It didn't matter that she was a Navy vet. I'm no longer even proud of that, because even for her to be murdered on U.S. soil, it meant nothing. It meant nothing. They tried to make their lives insignificant. It was before George Floyd. Mm-hmm. It was before Breonna Taylor. Mm-hmm. What about our families? What about our families? What about them?
Yes. What about them? Well, Gina, I want to thank you for calling up tonight. I'm going to have to leave it there, sister.
Yes.
We'll talk offline.
Yes, I'll call back in later, but I'm going to hang up for now, if you don't mind, because I just want to listen to the rest of your show. But I want everybody, the Wolfpack and those who are listening, to know that it takes more than just empty platitudes and promises. It takes more than just saying, I want things to be better. Because I guarantee you, what they do is they always make it against the law for a black man to even be armed with a gun. What other recourse do we have? What other redress do we have? What is it going to take for killer cops to stop murdering us? I'll tell you what it's going to take. It's going to take that their mothers hurt the same way we do. It's going to take that they are literally, that there is a law on the books, a national database of all killer cops, so that they can't leave one force and go over to another one. It's going to take so much more than what they've written in this George Floyd Policing Act. They need to talk to those of us Talk to us, because those politicians don't know what the fuck they're talking about. They don't. They don't cry themselves to sleep at night and have pillows drenched with tears. They don't have the grave side of their child that they've had to bury and then literally still watch another one murdered. Fearful that your grandchild, your niece, your nephew, a loved one is not going to make it home. As Black people, we have to watch everything we do. Every encounter with the police can end up in death. That hasn't changed. That hasn't changed. Technology within the last 10 or 15 years has only made it more prevalent in that it's being recorded. And even then with the recording, you still deal with motherfuckers like... Okay, Brother Tim, let me just bounce off. I just want to listen to the rest of your show. And thank you. I do have a Facebook page. I stopped asking for contributions for help because I'm proud in the sense that I was able to take care of myself. But I ended up on food stamps. I mean, literally ended up in foreclosure, bankruptcy, you name it. Because life became empty. You don't know what else to do. You're caught betwixt just not wanting to wake up because it's too painful to face another day. And you deal with microaggressions. You deal with just people hating you because the amount of melanin in your skin. Nothing makes them bad. I don't even like the word white supremacy. I like to call it white deficiency because they are literally emotionally devoid and depraved. You can't even call it white deficiency. I don't know what to call them. In subhuman, we fought for so much. Forget civil rights. We have a right to live here too. We have a right to go about our lives without fear every single time we set out our front door. My daughter was in Virginia Beach for less than 3 hours. Less than 3 hours, and they gunned her down like she was chattel, worse than chattel. And they knew the baby was in the car. They knew this shit. Brother Tim, I am going to listen because I'll keep going. I'm just going to forget collecting myself. I no longer even try to do that. I just let the tears flow because they're endless. I've cried many oceans of tears. They're endless, but it's the rage that propels me forward. And that's the reason why people talk about turning the other cheeks. God damn it, we don't have any other cheeks to turn. We've done everything. They have no more excuses for the disparagements and the treatment that they subject us to. No more. They let those motherfuckers riot the daggone Capitol and less than 500 people have been arrested. When we know if it was us, it would have been a bloodbath and massacre because we're Black.
Yep. Absolutely. Absolutely.
I'm going to disconnect, my dear brother, and listen to the rest of the show. I do need help, but tonight is not about my help. It's about the lives of our loved ones, my dear, that you keep amplifying. And thank you. Again, I've been listening to you. I watched the show. You just didn't know, but I so appreciate you. Thank you. I'm hanging up now.
Thank you, Gina. Thank you so much, Gina Best, y'all.
Yes.
Thank you, sister.
Yes,
thank you for calling up. Thank you for sharing your story. And as I stated before, several years ago when we first spoke, sister, I wish I could do more, man. And I tell people, I know we're on the right side of history, but sometimes it just ain't enough. And what I would do with a bigger platform, I'd have done the exact same thing, but 10 times as many people should have been able to hear it. They want to talk about Matt Gaetz. See my frustration?
Most news shows are suspect. They don't focus on Black issues, and when they do, it's all fluff. How does that help your life? How does that help your family? How does that help the culture? They don't. The Tim Black Show is different. Tim Black gives you news for people who can't stand the news. Real, authentic, researched, entertaining, on point. Don't let nobody take your cornbread. Visit www.timblacktv.com today. Get Black breaking news, politics, culture from someone you can trust. TimBlackTV.com. Join us today.